Hi everyone, we're so excited to talk to you today. We're going to be talking about scheduling and advising because it's a super important part of the college experience, but it can also be super confusing sometimes. We're also focusing on our first year student registration. We love our transfer students, but it's a slightly different process and you'll be contacted about that at a different time. So my name is Aspen Fox and I'm the Assistant Director in Residential Life and Explorations. I oversee our orientation programs and our peer mentor program. I actually did both of my degrees at Rollins, and I've been working here for 7 years now, so I'm going to have my colleagues introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Taylor Ricard. I'm going to be a senior here at Rollins in the fall. I'm a political science major, and I've been working with Aspen in the Office of Residential Life and Explorations for the last year.
How you doing, everybody? My name is Gabriel Barreneche. I'm the Associate Dean for Advising here at Rollins. I've been a professor in our Modern Languages and Literatures program for 15 years. But now I wear an administrative hat. I've done a lot of work with our first year program with the RCC, and I also head up our advising shop.
So before we get started, I'm going to play some fun trivia with these two.
All right.
So the Sanspur, Florida's oldest college newspaper, was first published in what year?
1987.
Nope.
Well, Rollins has been around since 1885, so I'm going to say 1887.
Nope, pretty close. Pretty close, but it was 1894.
Darn.
So Fox Day is always super important to people at Rollins. So how much does the Fox statue weigh?
200 pounds.
I'm going to one-up you and say 210.
Ooh.
Nope, you're both a little bit too low. It's 250.
250.
So at Rollins, we're really into international and domestic travel. So if you guys could travel anywhere tomorrow, where would you go and why?
I've always wanted to visit Iceland. Rollins offered a field study there a couple years ago, and reading about it, I've always had an interest in seeing Iceland since then.
Well, if you've been following the weather reports, it's been a little bit cloudy and rainy here in Florida the last week, so I want to see some sunshine tomorrow. I might have to go someplace north for that. So they always say it's always sunny in Philadelphia, so I'm going to go to Philadelphia, my old hometown, and see some old friends.
That's awesome. So we've received a lot of questions from our incoming first-year students about course registration. So the first one to get started is, how does first-year course registration work, and then who creates the student schedule?
Okay, first-year schedule, and also the transfers will build your schedules too. It's a magical experience, right? So the first week of June, we gather a team of faculty. We drag them out of their vacations to come work with us. It's like Santa's workshop in the North Pole. We get them in a room. We look very closely at your course preference forms. Course preference forms are due very soon. When are they due, Aspen?
This Friday,
This
May
Friday.
26th.
So get your course preference forms done if you haven't already. If you had your mom fill it out, maybe take a look at what she filled out, because we're going to build your schedule according to what maybe mom has said are things that you're interested in, right? Yep. So get that done. So we take a very close look at your course preference form, and we build your first semester schedule.
Yep, so what is included in that schedule, and then about how many credit hours should they be taking?
Sure. So the first semester schedule looks like this. It's going to be a 4-class load, right? You're going to have one class that will be related to a major that you indicated on your course preference form. The second class will be one of our general education competencies. I'll talk about them shortly. It'll be something like English writing or foreign language. The third class will be something that you're interested in, right? Something that you really wanted to explore as an elective, right? So part of your education is going to be elective credits. And there's a lot of really interesting classes that maybe you didn't have a chance to take in high school because they didn't offer it, right? Things like psychology, things like social entrepreneurship, things like philosophy, religious studies. Maybe they didn't have that at your school, right? So you'll have a chance to take an elective. And the fourth class, the cornerstone of this all, is your RCC, right? RCC is our first year seminar class. Everyone has one. Transfer students have an RCC, as well as our incoming first year students. It's going to be a total of about 16 credit hours. You need 140 credits to graduate from Rollins. Those of you doing the math at home, that means 17.5 credits per semester. So you'll get 16 at the very least. Some classes will have a lab. That might be some extra credits attached to that. Some of you may be bringing in AP or International Baccalaureate or dual enrollment credits, those will roll in as part of your fall load as well.
Yep. So maybe you want to talk a little bit more in detail about RCC, and then Taylor, maybe you want to talk about what your RCC experience was like, and then what your experience was like as a peer mentor since they're in every RCC.
Yeah.
Okay. So RCC, we love acronyms at Rollins. RCC stands for the Rollins College Conference. It's a conference-style class, right? Seminar-style, conversation-based, dialogue-based. It is not a lecture of 250 kids in a giant amphitheater. That's not what we have at Rollins. We don't even have 250-seat amphitheaters used as classrooms. Your RCC is going to be, I always tell my students when I teach RCC, it's kind of like your homeroom during your first year at college. These are first-year students as well. You pick from the 32 that were shown on the list for your course preference form. We have an amazing algorithm that will ensure that you get one of your top 5 choices. If you get an RCC and you don't know why you're in it, it's because your mom filled out your CPF, right? We will get you an RCC that you like. RCC is run by one of our faculty, one of our professors, and they serve as your academic advisor during that first year as you transition into the college, right? Once you declare a major later on, at the end of the first year, beginning of the second year, you will transition to an advisor in your department of your major. But your RCC faculty members trained to get you through that first year and pass the baton off to your major advisor.
So if you want to talk a little bit about your experience with RCC.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed my RCC experience. The class that I was in was called American Political Controversies, and I thought it was really interesting. And the cool thing about an RCC is it sort of gives you the opportunity to get to know the other students in your class, I'd say better than your other classes. And it allows you to form like a reliable network, and then that's supplemented by the peer mentors who aid in the transition of new students to Rollins, like socially, academically, and otherwise. My peer mentors were really great. I think they were one of the most valuable resources that I had like offered to me during my first semester. And then I got the opportunity to be a peer mentor last fall semester, where I peer mentored for a class called Cyborgs, Androids, and Self, which was a really cool class about like artificial intelligence. And I got to sort of be on the other side of that with helping the students find their place here and figure out where they wanted to get involved, what's right for them. So the RCC is a really unique experience to transition smoothly into our community.
That's awesome. So Dean Barreneche talked a little bit how the faculty advisor is your advisor through your first year at Rollins. So can you talk about what your relationship is like with your faculty advisor, if they've stayed your faculty advisor, and how that's worked for you?
Yeah, so my faculty advisor was a professor in the political science department because my RCC was political science based. I ended up majoring in political science, so my academic advisor has remained my academic advisor, and it's been a really great way to build a relationship long term with a faculty member on campus. So it's been really great.
That's awesome. So we get a lot of questions about the general education curriculum. What does RFLA mean? So if you can talk a little bit about that to our students, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Another acronym, or RFLA. RFLA, what is that? So RFLA stands for Rollins Foundations in the Liberal Arts. It's our core curriculum. It's our gen ed curriculum. I think it's what makes Rollins unique and special as a liberal arts college. Something I like to explain to students, right, as they try to understand, why am I in these core classes? What does this all mean? I just want to take a major and get my degree. Hopefully that's not what you signed up for, right, when you came to Rollins. We are a liberal arts college. It means that you're going to get a deep education in your major. This is T-shaped, right? It's going to be deep in your major, and it's going to be broad across the breadth of your education, right? So that horizontal bar is going to be your general education. It's going to be co-curricular activities. It's going to be leadership opportunities. It's going to be study abroad. It's going to be an internship. These are the things that distinguish, I think, graduates of a liberal arts college from other institutions. So I'm not going to talk bad about that. So when you're on the job market, right, and there's going to be 15,000 people that you're competing against for the same job. They all have the same major as you. What makes you unique? What gives you the special skills that we think are necessary in the 21st century economy? It's that broad piece. And it's not just me saying that, right? So there's all sorts of research that comes out of Michigan State University. They did a project with IBM, and IBM said, we want T-shaped employees. We don't want just computer engineers who know a lot about a little, but we want people who know a lot about a little and then a lot about a lot. Mm-hmm. So that's a long way to try to introduce our gen ed curriculum. So the RFLA is going to be 10 classes. think of it as 5 and 5. The first 5 are going to be your competencies that I mentioned a little bit earlier. It's going to be foreign language. You got to take a foreign language class all the way through the intermediate level. You're going to need English composition. You're going to need health and wellness is a class that everybody takes here. Ethics. In the 21st century in America, we need people with ethical reasoning skills, and there's an ethics competency as well. And then the final competency, oh goodness, I'm drawing a blank, math. Math competency, right? A number of these competencies can be fulfilled through AP credits, IB credits, as such. So you might already have a couple of those done before you even set foot on campus. The other 5 are what we call the foundations, right? And we want you to be exposed to the different realms of knowledge in the academy. So you're going to take 5 classes in what we call the foundations. You're going to take a social science class, a humanities class, an expressive arts class, and a natural sciences class. So that's 4. You're going to take 1 from each division. And then in your junior or senior year, you're going to take what we call the practicum, right? It's kind of a capstone experience of your general education where you're going to tie together all those different ways of knowledge in this really special seminar class. Those 5 foundations classes have different themes attached to them, so there's different flavors of them. And if you're more passionate about a certain topic, a certain theme in these foundations classes, you can take classes all the way through related to that one theme. So one of the themes is called environments, and you'll have a humanities class related to environments, social science related to environments, natural sciences related to environments, etc., etc.
Awesome. So probably one of the biggest questions we get is, where can I find my schedule? Because I really want to know what classes I'm taking. So can you let them know where they're going to find their schedule?
FoxLink, June 7th.
Yep.
Put it on your calendar. It's the official drop date, right?
Yep.
Of your schedule. So take a quick look at it. But I want to say to students, don't panic, okay? So this is your schedule that your faculty carefully pieced together, in Santa's workshop and during the first week of June. It's not a perfect piece of art. It's going to require you to think about it, and you have the opportunity to edit it, tweak it, change it once you are on campus in August during orientation, right? So during orientation, you're going to have a one-on-one session with your faculty advisor. You're going to sit down and look at your schedule and see what works, what doesn't work. Again, we base this on your course preference form, but we know that people change, right? So maybe that class you really wanted as an elective, you're not that jazzed about, and you want to go in a different direction. So you'll have a chance to change your schedule with your faculty advisor in August during orientation, right? That's before the big kids come back to campus, so you get first crack at dropping in and out of a class during that one-on-one session. If it's still not to your liking, if it's still not perfect, good news. We still have the first week of the semester to make changes to your schedule, right? We call it add drop week. So all the students are back, sections are opening up, people are dropping out of one, a seat opens up in a class you really want. You'll have a chance to edit and change your schedule during that first week of the semester.
Yeah.
So I'm going to speak some Philly talk to you. Trust the process, right? Trust the process. You're going to get a schedule that works for you. Every student gets classes that they need to graduate. Everyone will graduate in a timely fashion if you do your homework.
So for each of you, what piece of advice would you give to our first year students about advising specifically, and then what's something as a student that you would give to them as advice, maybe academically or socially or their whole time at Rollins?
Yeah, so I would say to students to really take advantage of this relationship, right? So you're going to get as much out of your advising relationship as you put into it. You have the chance, and I think maybe this is why you decided to come to Rollins, to get to know your faculty in a very personal way. Again, these aren't classes with 350 kids. Your professor knows who you are, they know what makes you tick, they know what you're passionate about, and they're going to guide you right from day one all the way through graduation and beyond. However, if you're a wallflower, there's not much I can do, right? I can try to engage with you as much as you want, but if you don't want to come to my office hours, I can't make you come. So really take advantage of that, because it's a really special opportunity. I'll share a story, right? So when I was in graduate school at UCLA, big school, big state school, very prestigious, it's hard to get into, but the experience for undergrads was very different from what we're finding here at Rollins. I had a kid when when I was a teaching assistant, right? We don't have these at Rollins. Teaching assistants are graduate students who pay their way through grad school by teaching lower level classes. So I taught Spanish 102 as a graduate teaching assistant. I was 26 years old. And one of my students comes into my office hours and he's like, Gabriel, I'd really like for you to write me a letter of recommendation. I'm going to medical school. I said, well, I'm very flattered, I'm very honored. I can talk about your mastery of the preterite tense and you can count up to 1,000 in Spanish, but I don't know if I'm very well qualified to write you a letter of recommendation on your future possibilities as a physician. Maybe one of your professors in biology would be better equipped to do that. Why me? He said, well, you're the only one who knows my name. And that kind of hit a chord, right? This is a bright kid in a very good school, and he's asking a graduate student to write him a letter of rec for med school. That won't be the case here at Rollins if you get to know your faculty and get to know your advisors, right? They will be the ones writing tremendous letters of recommendation for you. But if they don't know who you are because you never go visit them other than, a week before registration period, they won't have a whole lot to say. So my word of advice to you is get to know your advisor and take advantage of that special relationship.
Yeah, sort of on a similar note, I think I'd say that taking advantage of all of the opportunities that Rollins will provide you with is my best advice. So it's really the time to branch out and explore your interests, take classes that you're not sure if you would have ever taken before, network with everyone that you can, try to get to know your professors, go to those club meetings that you're not sure if you're right for. Really just put yourself out there because it's the time to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. So we thank you so much for tuning in with us. We hope you're super excited about your schedules. They're actually going to be released the evening of June 7th, and then on June 8th, you're going to be getting a phone call from a faculty member to talk you through your schedule and maybe why you have questions about it or the classes that you were given. As always, we're here to help, so feel free to contact us. Taylor and I work in residential life and explorations, and so you can always feel free to call our office about the course preference form or your housing forms. Our email is rle@rollins.edu, and our phone number is 407-646-2649. Thank you so much for listening to us and talking with us. We're so excited to meet you in August, and we hope you have a great rest of your summer. Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you in August.